make up everything in the universe? How many shapes, rather, make up everything?
How many shapes?
You found out that line is infinite.
Right.
You know, and we understand that mark and line is one and the same.
Right.
So now to move on to that next venture is understanding how many shapes is there. If there's an infinite number or whatever the case may be, how many are there that make up everything in our visual world? Optics.
Okay, well, you have, what's that? You have the circles, rectangles, squares, triangles, octagons. Okay. All right, let me see. Circles, squares, rectangles, and triangles. And if we don't get into the dimensional, like multi-sides, hexagons, and things like that, then that would be basically it then.
And that's basically it. Those four shapes make up everything. Look, lampshade, circle. Bulb is the derivative of a circle. Square and rectangle derivatives. You see?
Right.
Triangle derivative down here to make this. You see? The square is universal. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, everywhere. Circle, everywhere. That's where they get the whole idea of form following function. The whole idea of that is like, what's the perfect shape that can hold the perfect thing, or all this mess that goes on around that. These four shapes make up everything. The octagon, hexagon, and all of that is mainly the rectangle, square, and triangle configurations put together, and then you see those different designs, or those disciplines that they call design. Then we go into what? How many forms is there now? Now we got to go into the third realm of it, which is space, final frontier. Just dealing with depth, that's it. So then that's when you get into the infinite number of how many forms is out there, because the shapes transition into forms. And then after that, you have to transition into what? Looking at light aspects, tonal aspects. How much light is in an area, how much darkness is in an area.
Let's go back to forms for a second here, because you lost me on that one.
Okay.
All right. You said that forms, shapes, and then forms. Okay. Does the form take it into a dimensional?
When you say dimensions, you're saying depth, and you're saying breadth, so you're saying form.
Okay. All right. So then that is a form. A form is the...
It's the depth aspect.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay. All right.
When you're dealing with form, you're just dealing with volume, mass, how much space something can take up.
Right.
You know, how much mass is there for that individual thing to be able to sit there, to be able to be called a form, or have to deal with space.
Okay.
Those aspects is there.
And then space. Okay.
So then there's a 5-pronged process that I show people. First thing is understanding line, then shape, then form, space, the final frontier, light, and then surface. These 5 aspects have different things that's within them, but they function all together at one time, so you can be able to see and observe. So then therefore, instructing or giving the suggestion based upon these 5, which make up everything in the universe that you're going to play with or do or create from, is the optimal of what you want to do. So to build this house, you're looking at the lines of the wood, and to build everything else outside, you're looking at how the square is universal to build a domicile, and how they reverberate off a square to be able to make everything else. Now, is this type of information always been there? Yes, of course. Other cultures and nationalities and things like that have delved into this, before time became time itself. But when we talk from this vernacular, we're talking from the Westernized civilization part, whether it be the Greco or the Roman, or the Greco-Roman together, due to the whole Alexandria thing.
Okay.
So we tie all of that in just to say how important drawing is, and how to relinquish the idea of technique, where it becomes more free for you to be able to observe and be able to create at any given time. Because to say technique a lot of time puts a door on your thought process, so then you think you have to open and close something to get to it. My ideal suggestion is that no, you just have an opening, and whenever you pass by it, you just start creating. And the opportunity is there, just as long as you realize and don't take for granted your visual world, which is the 3rd dimension, which is something that we all stuck with, we have to deal with. We're not making things for dogs and animals and stuff. No, we're making them for other human beings to enjoy the expression, or the idea of expression. On top of that, too, as well, you have 2 forms of sight, objective and subjective. Objective meaning what you see is what you get.
Right.
Subjective is the digesting of this. and to be able to regurgitate it and spit it out the way that you need.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, that's all abstraction is, or existentialism is. An adaptation or derivative off the actual realm that we're living in to be able to come up with something expressive. And that's why when you talk about creativity, there is no right and wrong. Can't be. There's only what is. So what your intent and content is.
You've actually regurgitated the feeling that you projected in what you had drawn, and
because you've seen it someplace before, you've seen somebody be happy, right? Or you've seen a happy experience, or you've been to some type of landscape or urban environment where the light came in at the right time. You just felt something. Wouldn't you create that? And wouldn't that creation be regurgitation at that point?
Right.
Then that alludes towards everything being abstract at that point that you're going to do. Even if you're being objective and direct, you're still being, existential and abstract. So it's just the understanding of those ideas or those suggestions that puts things in alignment for people to be able to create within a sense and have a certain freedom. And that's what I offer. So then at that point, if we had all our stuff out, you would be doing tonality drawings now. And you would be dealing with trying to put together, say for instance, 0 will be the light bulb itself.
right,
And then 0 will be sunlight,
right,
or the sun itself. 0 will also be comparison to the reflection of the moonlight that bounces down, refracts down to us. So with that being said, 10 would be the darkest dark that you can make. So you ever notice when you're looking at a newspaper or a magazine, if you look in the middle of the meridian or the middle of the gutter space, in the middle of the magazine spine, you see these little blocks there, and you may have one that's white up top and you have a black one. You have a couple of gray ones in between, and then you have a red and a green and a blue one. Well, those are nothing more than printer's marks to let them know the tonality and the color, the RGB, the red, the green, and the blue, which is white light colors that they use to print by, how much those intensities are there. Pretty much the same thing you'll be doing, because now, instead of, with the charcoal drawing class that I give, instead of you looking out and trying to dictate this is burgundy or mauve or this is gray, no, you're looking at it and saying, okay, this looks like 50% gray, but then this looks like it might be 40% gray. This might be around about 7 or 8 as far as intensity of light and dark is concerned. To be able to show the differences between this cloth, the foam core, and the painting of this foam core, you have to understand what those tonalities are. The high reflections would be the zeros.
right,
You see, everybody would want to draw these areas in as being blank on their page, but no, everything has a tone on it. Another group of individual artists that helps you to understand that are the Impressionists. The Impressionists, and they took Chevreul theories and things like that of simultaneous contrast and all that good stuff, and applied it. So then you're looking from left to right, top to bottom. What's the reactions or what's the didactics or the fractile of what you're seeing in front of you? So a lot of times just by seeing how this is overlapping this and this is overlapping this item, at what point are these lines hitting these shapes that you're seeing? You see, at that point now you start to understand foreground, middle ground, and background. And it's just that simple. So I've had individuals that say, oh, I just know stick figures, or oh, I have 1 or 2 classes, it's been 30 years since I've done it. Or I have younger kids that say, well, I do cartoon characters, I don't really need to worry about that. But no, you have to, because this is what everybody extrapolates from to make everything that we deal with. Everything. There's nothing on this planet that's not made with these concepts in mind.